20小时就能全英语沟通。预约台北、台中、高雄体验课，请搜寻俊老师数科英语。
So let's synchronize our watches in 3, 2, 1.
It's 3:59. Stay tuned for ICRT News and Weather coming up next.
纯净天堂梦幻素物，薄荷岛巧克力山，迷你眼镜猴，搭漂流竹筏屋，看满天萤火虫，体验沙丁鱼风暴，再到巴黎卡萨大断层浮潜，前往欧斯陆与金沙共舞，海洋奇遇遨游树屋，请搜寻品冠旅游。
Take journeys and create memories. Unforgettable vacations with PK Travel.
We're ICRT, FM 100, Taipei, Taichung, and Kaohsiung. Your news, Taiwan and the world.
Good afternoon, it's 4 o'clock. I'm Nancy Sun with the top of the hour news. Russia's Ministry of Defense says one of its aircraft with 14 people on board has disappeared from radar in Syria. But first in local news, a repatriated murder suspect is claiming no knowledge of the crime. Oren Shlomo Meir was repatriated from the Philippines last night to face questioning over the murder and dismemberment last month of Ramahan Sanjay Ryan. He has reportedly been cooperating with police as they question him, but when it comes to the circumstances of Ryan's death, Meir says he doesn't know. He says he was out drinking and chatting with a friend on the day of the murder, but doesn't know what happened after that. The friend is also a suspect in the case and has been detained. After questioning, Meir is scheduled to be sent to the new Taipei prosecutor's office. More foreign laborers may be needed as overseas Taiwanese companies return home. The Ministry of Economic Affairs says the trade tensions between China and the United States is spurring several Taiwanese firms to bring their operations back from abroad. However, it says that a lack of labor will be an issue for them, and the shortfall will require more foreign laborers to make up. The MOEA says it will discuss this issue with the Ministry of Labor to see how this demand can be met. And Nantou is fining a hiker for wasting national resources. Earlier this month, a man surnamed Ye was hiking down a mountain when he called his family for help, saying he had fallen and injured himself. He was found by rescuers days later, far from where he said he was. That night, he left camp, leaving the rescuers bewildered. Then just last night, Ye called his family again, requesting a helicopter evacuation, though he said he was unharmed. He was taken to a hospital but refused a medical examination and left the hospital on his own accord. Nantou authorities are now charging him with 3 counts of wasting rescue resources, with total fines of 130,000 NT. This is the first time a fine had been levied since these rules were put in place in February. In international news, Russia's Ministry of Defense says one of its aircraft with 14 people on board has disappeared from radar in Syria. Dan Ashby has more.
14 people were aboard the aircraft used for electronic reconnaissance, but it has disappeared from radar, suggesting it's been shot down. Moscow is highlighting that there was French and Israeli activity in the area, who they say were bombing Syrian targets. But the MOD stopped short of directly blaming them. A US official, on the other hand, has suggested Russia's ally, the Syrian government, accidentally shot the plane down while countering the Israeli strikes. Dan Ashby, Moscow.
An Afghan official says at least 9 members of the local police force were killed when another policeman opened fire and shot them at a checkpoint in northern Balkh province. Officials say 1 policeman was wounded and 3 others are missing after the late Monday shooting. They say the attacker was a policeman from another checkpoint in the same district who fled the scene. The shooter also seized all weapons from that checkpoint. There was no comment or claim of responsibility from the Taliban. And finally, Amazon's The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel became the first streaming series to win the top Emmy comedy honors, and HBO's Game of Thrones recaptured the Best Drama Series award. With the exception of Saturday Night Live, broadcast shows were shut out of the top awards as 21st century platforms continue to overshadow traditional network fare like This Is Us. HBO lost its top dog status in total nominations for the first time in 17 years at the Emmys, with 108 nominations to Netflix's 112. The two ended up in a tie for wins at 23 each. Claire Foy of The Crown and Matthew Rhys of The Americans won top drama acting Emmys, their first trophies for the roles. And now back here in Taiwan and looking at the weather across the island this afternoon, we can expect partly cloudy skies in the north and center, partly clear skies in the east, and partly cloudy skies with occasional afternoon thunder showers in the south. Current temperatures now, Taipei 33, Taichung 31, Kaohsiung 32, and Hualien 31. That was the ICRT News at 4 with me, Nancy Sun.
以上 ICRT 整点新闻由美国的专家 Masons 美成一。
Hi. Oh, okay. Hi. Is it working, Leslie?
Should be okay. Let me see. Is it better now?
I don't see us coming back.
Okay, I see it now.
You're back. What?
Yep.
You can see it?
Oh, yeah.
But I can't.
Okay.
But we're still live. Okay.
Yeah, sorry
anyway,
about
okay.
that, everybody.
Sorry. Okay.
It should be a lot better now.
Well, we hope everybody's connected now.
Yes.
And moving on. Okay, so this story, we'll start with the Taiwan story. This story has been in the news since really early this morning, and it's just one of those stories where you're like,
What's going on?
It's like a head tilt. There's a man. The story physically started at the beginning of the month. And then this man who is apparently a hiker, he trekked up into the mountains. He went in from Hualien, and then he trekked up into the mountains on September 1st. And then he was supposed to be gone for a few days, and he went alone. So he's gone for a few days, and then on the 12th, his family gets a call from him, or a text message.
Yes.
And the message is asking for help and saying that he's trapped, or he's not trapped, he's injured, and he needs to be evacuated or he needs to be rescued. And so, of course, his family is terrified, and they contact authorities, and they ask them to go into the mountains and get him out.
Yes.
And then so it's quite a trip because it's way up into the mountains. It's not, you can't just drive a car up there and pick somebody up. So over the course of this, the rescuers, the team of rescuers trekking in, I think there was a total of 7. They trekked into the mountains going towards his coordinates. And then one of the rescuers became ill because of altitude sickness. And then so that rescuer had to be evacuated by helicopter out of there. But the rest of the team found the man on the 15th, a couple days later. And then he seemed to be uninjured except for, a few scrapes. And he said he had pain in his lower back. And then so that was around the time that Typhoon Mangkhut, thank you, Mangkhut was around Taiwan, or was affecting the area, affecting the weather in the area.
Right.
And then so they couldn't reach a safe altitude, and they had to camp where they were. So they camped there overnight, and then the next morning when the rescuers got up, the man was gone. Just gone, and they were, gobsmacked, and they couldn't figure out what happened. Gobsmacked, and they couldn't figure out what happened. And then so they had to stay up there. The rescuers had to stay up there because of the bad weather, and they camped up there. And they were the rescuers were just helicoptered off the mountain yesterday.
How high was this mountain?
I haven't checked the altitude, but it's, up and down in the mountain range in central Taiwan. And then so that still leaves the man up in the mountains, right? So he apparently had wandered away from where they were, and then he called again last night. So that's the 17th. He called again last night.
Indeed.
And said, he called his family and said he needed a rescue again, and he asked for a helicopter evacuation. And then so basically his family called the authorities again, and then the authorities were rather irritated, but of course they had to go and rescue him. And then once they reached him, they had to helicopter him out of there, and he was safe, and they got him to a hospital, and he refused medical checks.
First of all, this guy's by himself?
He's by himself.
And what was he doing? Like, how high was this?
He's by himself, which is already not advisable. Apparently, you're supposed to go with friends or whatever. And then another issue was also that he went into this mountain range and he applied for a permit and he got a permit, but then the path that he took or the place where he trekked was outside of what he had applied for, so he wasn't within his permit. And also he did not apply for insurance. So all of this cost millions.
Do we know how much? Yeah, and he's only getting fined, what, 130,000 NT?
He's getting fined 130,000 NT.
That's it?
But the authorities are considering suing him for damages because it's millions of NTs. And it was a total of 5 helicopter trips, including the helicopter trips for the sick rescuers.
Yeah.
So 5 helicopter trips, Black Hawk helicopters going in and out.
A helicopter costs, I don't know, like what, 20,000 every time to deploy? I think so.
There you go. Yeah. So millions of dollars.
They're very expensive just to fire up for the hospitals. I mean, this is the first time the rules were levied in February. So the natural resources. Wasting rescue resources is a finable offense only in February of this year.
Right. Okay. So this is the first time, but you kind of see this coming. I kept trying to figure out why, and I thought maybe he wanted to be evacuated because he was too tired to go on, but then he
went back for it.
Well, but maybe he thought about it and then he didn't want to pay the fine. This is pure speculation. I just can't figure it out. Maybe he didn't want to pay and he's like, you know what? I'm just going to slip away in the night. Nobody's going to know who I am. And then that's it.
How old was this guy?
He's in his 50s. 50, right?
Was this like a bucket list type deal? Like this is like, I always want to do this, or...
I don't think so.
I can't wrap my head around this. They're going to sue him for the full expense of the rescue?
They're considering it.
How much are we talking about? Do we know? Like
they said the cost. They want to sue for the cost of the trips for the helicopters, which is millions of NT. The rescuers who just came down the mountains yesterday, they are getting 2 days of leave to recuperate because they were up there for days.
They need to.
And then they said that after the rescuers come back, they will hold a meeting and discuss what they would like to do.
I think he should be held accountable for what it does, because Taiwan has a lot of good social programs in place to make sure, if people act responsibly, people can get, people stay relatively safe. This is not an instance where someone was acting responsibly. He was acting rather irresponsibly
and also erratic, which makes me wonder if there's other issues. I'm sure authorities will keep investigating, but to require medical or helicopter evacuation and then to get to the hospital and refuse a medical check, that's kind of odd, right? And then when they kept questioning him, why did you disappear? What's going on? He wouldn't answer. He couldn't give a straight up answer. And when his wife arrived at the hospital, she kind of did the wifely thing and claimed responsibility. So she said, I was the one who told him to do it. It's all a jumble right now.
To do what? To climb a mountain by yourself?
I don't know.
What do you advise your husband to go up to the mountain by himself? Even when you guys are fighting?
He would never listen to me anyway, so I don't know what's going on there. Julianne says, can I just say he's a beep, beep, beep.
A-hole?
Lisa Jo says, okay, see you guys. I hope the lagging is better now.
Yeah, it's a lot better. I can see over here.
Yeah, okay. Anyway. So
this
is just quite a head scratcher. I don't know.
I mean, I just, you just don't do this. Like, think about it this way, right? Healthcare is in place to make sure that everyone is healthy and good, right? But if you're going to the hospital for every little cough you see, like every little cough that you have, that a lot of people do here, it costs more and more money for everybody else. This pool that we have, right? And then you're ruining it for the rest of us. So this is a textbook example of one person ruining it for the rest of us.
Yeah, this is why I just keep thinking there's got to be some explanation. Early onset Alzheimer's, dementia. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, his wife stepped in, right? And obviously she didn't find anything too wrong with it.
I don't know. It's a developing story. Let's just call it that.
Okay.
Developing story.
Okay.
Okay, and then moving on to the international side. I don't know if you guys caught this earlier today, but the Emmys was on. I think the I think the ceremony has ended and they've announced all of the winners. This year's ceremony was rather interesting in that there's a lot of interesting parts, but HBO and Netflix basically dominated like almost all of the awards and the nominations.
Of course.
Game of Thrones won for best drama series. It wasn't a contender last year.
Wait, why wasn't it? Because it ended last year.
It did, but there were things that like there was like a period between the seasons, and then like there's a certain time limit you have to be entered to be considered for the
I've never watched Game of Thrones. Well, no, I have, but I have not. I'm not up to date. You're looking at me with the same look everybody else gives me when I tell them that, but I can't handle it.
What are you saying?
My blood pressure can't handle it. Like there's too many twists, there's too many turns. I can't do it. I scream.
Did you watch Walking Dead?
Like, yeah, before it got bad.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
that's like full of twists and turns.
I can't stand
that's bad
that
for your blood pressure.
Like zombies I can handle, but like all of this, like everything, Game of Thrones is done to shock you, right? Zombie, like The Walking Dead is done to like make you go, like scare you almost. And that I can handle. That just like, okay, this man obviously, I obviously know there's a plan, and I know what the plan is for this person to do to me, which is scare me, and so I can kind of like call like and predict like this is what's gonna happen. But with Game of Thrones, you can't predict anything.
That's the beauty of it.
No, I don't like that. There's too much chaos. There's too much anarchy.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
I'm sure for the rest of our audience who have watched it.
There's so much other good stuff to see. There's so much other good stuff to see. Why would you shorten your lifespan by watching Game of Thrones?
You could watch all of it. There's a lot of good stuff out there.
No.
Anyway, so the interesting thing, Netflix has overtaken HBO in nominations for the first time ever. Usually HBO is the top contender, so it has the most nominations. And also Amazon's The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I haven't watched this because I don't have Amazon, but apparently it's the first streaming series to win something at the Emmys, to win top Emmys honors. And that's exciting. It kind of indicates a shift away from like
traditional TV?
Yeah, traditional TV towards streaming services like Netflix.
I mean, The Marvelous, do you know what this is about?
It's set in the 1950s, and it's about a housewife, and she is unhappy at home, and then she kind of finds freedom in stand-up comedy.
She does stand-up comedy?
50s, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
That's what the synopsis says. So that's exciting. So it means like audience habits are changing. And then the winner last year was also subscription service.
Who was it?
Hulu's.
Are they not doing too well this year?
The Handmaid's Tale. The Handmaid's Tale was nominated for top drama, but obviously lost out to Game of Thrones.
I've been watching. You know what? It's true. I've got a Netflix account now, and I've been watching a lot more Netflix than I have TV.
Right.
Just no
time. Like you cannot.
Not even time. But it's just like you can watch what you want whenever you want to. There's so many things. So you can watch TV shows, you can watch movies. And then it used to be, well, you know what else happened? It's just the TV remote at my house broke. So if I want to watch TV, I have to go up to the box and just start pressing the buttons like
no,
and that's such a pain.
No movement allowed.
But do you know what the glory of Netflix is? You can either my TV comes with Netflix, or I can just watch it on my phone if I'm just like too lazy to like change. I love that.
Me too.
Anything that makes me lazier, I love it.
We're doing like a huge Netflix commercial right now. Just stop it. Okay. Anyway, the other couple of exciting things that happened was there was a proposal.
What?
There was a marriage proposal live while the show aired. Glenn Weiss, who directed the Oscars and won Best Director for like a live television show, he got on stage and he was giving his acceptance speech, and you know, like when it's not somebody you recognize by face, you're kind of like, okay, well, I'll just go get popcorn or whatever. So while he was doing his speech, he mentioned that his mother had passed away 2 weeks ago, and then he said, you know, my mom always really liked my girlfriend, and then he said, but do you know why I never call? He said to his girlfriend, you know why I never call you my girlfriend? Because I want to call you my wife. And then everybody started like, you know, freaking out and cheering, and then she came up on stage and he did the, you know, down on one knee kind of a thing, and then she said yes.
Dennis Tai says, I read news that Disney is going to take all of Marvel series back from Netflix. You know, that's what they did. No, but like, no, like that's what they did in the States. That's what they did in the States. Like, all the Captain America movies, all the Iron Man movies, they all belong to Disney, and
Well,
Disney
there's
wants
only a couple on there anyway.
and Disney wants to launch their own streaming service.
Actually, our other newscaster Eric Gao was just talking about this earlier, and he's like, I'm not that huge on its other series, but if Disney had its own streaming service, he said he'd be on it. It would be running like 24/7.
Well, that's Eric Gao.
That is Eric Gao.
He's living 10, 20 years in the past.
Yeah, well, but yeah, Marvel is under Disney now, so I would totally.
So the thing is, in Netflix in Taiwan, you still get whatchamacallit. You still get all the Marvel movies for whatever reason.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but you still get a good selection. In Netflix in the States, you don't get any more because my brother was here from New York and he's like, "Wow, you guys get everything here."
Really,
evidently.
but like Netflix in the U.S., there's some stuff that we don't get too. Well, anyway, I really want to watch A Handmaid's Tale, but I don't subscribe to Hulu.
You can't even get Hulu in Taiwan.
Yeah, that's the irritating thing now. It's like if you want to watch these amazing shows, you have to subscribe to the entire
service. Can't get Hulu,
service.
can't get Amazon in Taiwan. Not yet, at least.
Anyway, another exciting thing that happened was that, well, this is kind of a bust. It was like an anticlimax. The Emmys made this big to-do about having the most ethnically diverse set of nominees ever for, nominations for the awards. And then even the opening song, it was supposed to be like a tongue-in-cheek kind of a thing. Even the opening song was like, we solved it. The title was We Solved It. It's like, we solved the diversity problem. So many, actors and actresses from different backgrounds, yada yada, and yet
that's
at least for the first
doesn't
half,
seem right.
I don't know. And then for the first half of the show, all of the actual like awards went to white actors.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kept going and going until Regina King won for Best Actress in a limited series. There were some other winners. Sandra Oh would have been the first Asian female nominated for top drama if she had won. But that went to Claire Foy.
Okay.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, I love Netflix. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna
like free commercials.
I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm gonna keep saying it.
Okay, I think we should ask our questions now. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Let's ask
3 questions. You want to go first, or do I want to go first?
I'll go first.
3 questions. This is the part where me and Nancy have come up with 3 questions just to have fun with each other for a little bit, I guess. And then if anybody wants to ask any questions at all about me and Nancy, you guys go ahead. But Nancy, go ahead. First question.
Well, first question. These are so up your alley.
But you also need to answer your own questions.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, these are so up your alley. How will humans go extinct?
Climate change.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Climate change.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's going to be like a man-made kind of a situation.
Well, do you want me to get nerdy right now? Because I'm going to get nerdy right now.
Okay, can I stop you? No.
Okay, fine.
No, go.
No, it's okay.
I was joking.
Okay. Go
Stop
ahead.
it, Leslie.
Go
I
ahead.
was just joking. Go ahead.
Okay, so the right now there have been 5 major extinction events in the history of the Earth. You know that, right? One of which was the meteor that crashed into the Earth and destroyed the dinosaurs. Scientists right now believe we are currently going through a mass extinction right now called the Holocene extinction.
Ooh.
And this is the only extinction event not brought on by nature, but it's brought on by people.
Like ever.
Yeah.
God.
Okay. Next question.
Next question. Man, that was totally up Leslie's alley.
Oh, yeah. I'm a smart man.
And then in a similar vein, Oh, Dennis Tai says lack of resources.
Yeah.
Which is also a man-made issue.
Dennis Tai talked about Thanos last time.
Yeah.
Oh, he's.
I feel like you kind of have a Leslie streak in you, or Leslie has a Dennis streak in him.
I'm reaching out.
I don't know which one it is. Julianne says Leslie's favorite series or film on Netflix.
Ooh, so many good ones. I'm gonna have to say Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is that on Netflix?
Yeah, that's on Netflix here. Okay. That's not Netflix in Taiwan. It's about, actually, you know what? It's this plot of itself is it's also kind of like a spoiler. So go watch it if you're very interested.
Okay.
Designated Survivor.
Okay.
Okay, next question.
Next question. Is humanity headed in the right or wrong direction? Netflix?
No, I'm saying like if we take everything that's in the right direction and subtract everything from the wrong direction from it, are we in the right direction? Yes. I'd like to remain optimistic and say yes, we are. Technology is a heck of a thing. I've been seeing some pretty good YouTube videos lately about people doing things to clean up the earth, and I think yeah, we might not all make it, but we're in generally in the right
Wow.
direction.
Wow. I agree, but I totally thought you were gonna say the other direction. But I feel like it's gonna be like we're headed in the right direction, but there's gonna be some major event that like kills off a lot of us, or it's some
That's-
kind of like
You called me.
or some kind of catastrophe
Gee.
that'll like be a huge blow to us, and then hopefully things will
Okay,
get better from
next
there.
question for you.
Last question. What does it mean to live a good life?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
That's like a half-hour question.
Life is, okay, this is all I'm going to say. Life, regret is inevitable. And then giving up on some things that you wanted to do when you were a kid, that's always inevitable. But it always comes down to the compromises you make and whether or not those compromises were worth it for you to have a safe life.
Okay, I see. I also think regret is inevitable until you learn to seize the opportunity. So don't let that regret happen to you.
Yes, take every opportunity you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, your question.
All right, Nancy, really simple. What's your greatest fear?
Wow, that's a huge question.
What is your greatest fear? Is it cockroaches? Is it?
Oh, like that?
Well,
simple?
any kind. Like when you see this is, you can go as simple as you want, or you can go as complex as you want.
My greatest fear is going through life and then feeling like I never lived at all. Ooh, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was good.
My biggest fear, one word, and it ties into what we just said: regret. Very, very,
Well,
very.
I feel like everybody fears kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like just different facets of the same thing.
Regret.
It's getting
Regret is
really
mine.
deep.
Okay. Next one. If you had one superpower, what could it be?
Oh no! Only one.
One superpower. You can't go off the list. You can take off any X-Men, any Marvel, any Avengers. You can go off that, but you can only have one.
One superpower.
Yes.
Probably moving things with my mind.
Telekinesis. That's a good choice.
I do not then you don't actually have to physically move, and it means your mind's like super powerful. You could just be sitting there, and stuff would be.
You could probably fly because you can just make yourself go off the ground. Me would be teleportation.
Oh.
Teleportation.
That's interesting too.
Yeah.
All right.
I just anywhere in the world, just go.
But what would you do when you get there?
Teleport some more, explore, man.
Okay.
If you want to go to the weekend, if you want to take a vacation, what's the longest part of a vacation, right? Flying, traveling.
Yeah.
But if you can be there like that,
you can,
how much easier would that be?
Yeah. You can taste different foods and do all this.
Actually, think about it this way. Rent in Taiwan is so expensive, right?
Yeah.
But what if in Taipei at least?
Yeah.
But if I could teleport, I could rent somewhere in Hsinchu where it's cheaper, or on the beach in Yilan, and then I could just teleport to work every day.
That sounds awesome.
Yes, I've thought about this one. Okay, last question.
Ooh. Okay.
If you could only see or hear, what would you choose?
Oh no, that's really hard.
That's a tough one.
Probably C.
Probably C.
Oh, that's hard. Probably C. I'm a visual person.
Yeah, so am I. That's a hard question. I'm not sure I have. I don't know. Maybe.
Julianne Chu says, Nancy. Sorry, you were.
No, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. If I don't want
to think about it.
Okay.
Nancy, your least favorite thing in your wardrobe. I throw away all the things I don't like in my wardrobe.
Oh, gee. Downsizing.
My least favorite thing in my wardrobe is the pair of jeans that I used to fit in before I was pregnant, and now I do not fit in anymore. Actually, I do fit in it, but it's really uncomfortable. Moving on.
Dennis Tsai says reading minds would be a fun superpower.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It's dark though.
I think his superpower is having all the Infinity Stones. That's all I'm saying. All right. We are unfortunately out of time here.
Yes. Okay. Super fast. Weather. The next couple days is going to be just like this: super hot, super sunny. This is Qiu Lao Hu. And then starting on the weekend, we're going to get lower temperatures down to the 30s, like 30, and then rain. So watch out for that.
By the way, really quickly, I got to do a really quick plug. Okay, in the box below, I've written the link to our YouTube channel. We have started doing a vlog where Nancy hosts, and we don't know if you guys read the ICRT blog at all or used to, but now we've taken all the fun like news, all the interesting news articles that sometimes they don't get to say on the air during top of the hour, and we kind of condense it into a small video format. Please go check that out, guys. It's just called ICRT Vlog, and every week we do one. We didn't do one last week because Nancy was out sick, but we did it. We released the second episode yesterday, which was Monday.
That's right.
And we're gonna have another episode coming on Friday.
That's right. It's only a couple minutes long, so you can get like all of these like short little bursts of entertaining news, but really quickly.
3 to 4 minutes long.
That's like how long our attention span is now.
Pretty much.
There
all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on Thursday. Are you here Thursday?
I am here Thursday.
Okie dokie. Later, Nancy.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.